Alright guys, so welcome back. It's been 2 weeks since we've had a stream, so we apologize for the delay, but glad to have you back with us here at another Friday Night Magic tournament from Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston, West Virginia. My name, as always, is Zachary Evans. I'm by myself currently, and we are already underway in our Round 1 feature match. Round 1 of 4, followed by a cut to top 8. We are playing Standard tonight. On the left, it's Drew Scherr. He's playing Mono Black Aggro. I put Mono Black Devotion, but it is in fact an aggro deck. He is playing Mogus's Marauders and the like. As you see him start off with a turn 1 Tormented Hero into a turn 2 Pack Rat. And his opponent is Garrett Meadows, stream regular, playing a spicy one tonight. This is a homebrew. Garrett, as we know, alternates between tier 1 decks and things that are fun. Tonight he is playing a deck that has Spite of Mogus in it. And if you don't know what that does, that's not an unreasonable expectation. It's an instant that deals damage equal to the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. So he's built his deck around that. It's kind of like a counterburn deck, a little bit like Tempo. And you see his hand there as well. Steam Augury, Azorius Charm, Boros Charm, and Supreme Verdict. Who's going to take the sweeper off of his Thoughtseize. Just 14 players tonight. Not actually that surprising. We do have the midnight pre-release coming up later, so if you're watching live, make sure to stay tuned as we'll be able to see some M15 sealed starting at midnight. I believe Garrett will be handling the commentary on that. We'll watch a couple players build their seal pools, and then 3 rounds of M15 sealed action. So Drew's going to get in there with a Pain Seer and a Tormented Hero, knocking Garrett down to 14. End of turn, Garrett is going to fire off a Steam Augury. So basically reverse factor fiction. Garrett's going to look at 5 cards, make 2 piles, and then Drew gets to pick which pile goes to his hand. Off the Steam Augury, reveal a second Steam Augury. Temple of Triumph, Temple of Epiphany. I think a Steam Vents up top, but I could be wrong, and a Lightning Strike. So basically the choice between Strike and Steam Augury here. And Drew gives him the Steam Augury. So the small pile, Augury probably what Garrett wanted in the first place here, but he's going to need to find an answer to these creatures on board. He's going to want to try and kill that Pain Seer before it untaps and gives Drew some card advantage. Starting off the turn with a Scry from a Temple. So serve in again with our 2 Grizzly Bear equivalents. Add another Pain Seer to the board here. So Drew overextending a little bit, but his deck does not nearly have the reach that the mono red or the Boros decks would have at this point. Garrett end of turn fires off the Steam Augury that we already knew about, revealing War Leader's Helix, 2 Hallowed Fountains, an Azorius Charm, and Spite of Mogus, I think. Yep. So 2 spells, and Drew going to go ahead and read Spite of Mogus. I'll go ahead and bring it up for everybody so we can read it. It's a saucy one. So there you see is effectively the best removal spell in the format for 1 mana. I thought that it's basically Scred, but instead of snow permanence, it's like Magnivore in your graveyard. I thought it could deal damage to players, so the fact that it can only remove creatures makes it not nearly as good, but Garrett doesn't seem to care here. So he lets Drew untap with the Pains here. There's a Mogus's Marauder. Give it haste, attack in with everybody here. So we're going to Azorius Charm, 1 Pain Seer back to the top. Take 6, dropping down to 4. Garrett draws return cards at the top. Still in Garrett's hand, just playing Revealed because of an early Thoughtseize. So he's going to cycle an Azorius Charm, digging for additional action here. Looks like he just drew another Skylight. And that is the problem sometimes with home brews, is that just do not get there, so Garrett scoops them up. So a pretty good draw from Drew, most importantly with a Thoughtseize, taking care of a sweeper that would have put Garrett back in the game. So Drew goes up 1 game to none in our round 1 feature match. We'll take this time, like we do every week, to thank the fine folks here at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston, West Virginia, for not only hosting FNM, but for letting us stream their FNM to you guys all around the world. Coming up very quickly on 2 years of FNM streams, the longest running, as far as I can tell, longest running continuous FNM stream in the world. So we appreciate your patronage over that time. We appreciate them having an awesome shop for us to play at and letting us set up our equipment to do the stream. We also want to thank the fine folks at inkedplaymats.com. You'll see their logo at the bottom left of your screen on the sweet custom playmat that they hooked us up with last year. If you want some custom playmats of your own, both double or single sized, custom dice bags, and now custom sleeves, as well as a variety of other playmat and dice bag products, head over to their website at inkedplaymats.com. They've been incredibly easy to work with. A great group of guys over there, so we appreciate their patronage. And then finally, we encourage you to support your local game store, but we all know there's things you're looking for that you can't find in your local display case, and when that happens, head over to affinityforcards.com or look for them on TCG Player for some of the lowest sale prices on the internet. And come check us out at various events throughout the Midwest. We'll be vending at the West Virginia State Modern Championships. It's going to be on August 2nd here at the Charleston Civic Center in Charleston. That is a Saturday, so we'll be there. That's going to be hosted by Lost Legion. We'll also be at the Comic Town PTQ in Columbus on the following August the 9th. And then some other events to be announced later in the year. I think we're doing another Columbus TCG 5K in September, but just head over to affinityforcards.com for more information about that, and I will appreciate it. Also follow us on our various forms of social media. 46 people watching live, guys. Again, I apologize for those of you who have watched us for the duration. This is it's been 3 weeks, two full weeks since the last time we broadcast. We missed 2. The first one was because I actually had a commitment at a PTQ to vend for Affinity, so I just could not be here until midnight the night before. And then last week, of course, was the 4th of July. Had much better things to do than be sitting in a broom closet talking about imaginary wizard fights. They included a giant water slide constructed in my backyard, adult beverages, grilled meats, and the like. But that is behind us. We are here, back and better than ever, to watch some grown men play imaginary wizard fights. And Garrett, down a game with his counterburn homebrew, leads off with the Temple of Epiphany, leaves the card on top, and Drew starts off with a FNM promo Tormented Hero. Question in the chat, am I going to Gen Con? Probably not. There's a slight chance that I might be going. I have not as of yet registered, so if that tells you anything. I have a fair amount of personal and business travel over the next 4 weeks, so I'm just not sure I can stomach that trip, but I would like to go. So Drew, with a sideboard of duress, nabs another Supreme Verdict here, leaving Garrett's hand as Lightning Strike, Is It Charm, Spite of Mogus, and a Boros Reckoner. He doesn't have a untapped mana source, so the Reckoner can't come down this turn, but he is leaving up Is It Charm, which can take care of the Tormented Hero if he so chooses. And that is in fact what he chooses to do. And then 3 mana for Master of the Feast, 5/5 flyer that lets Garrett draw a card during Drew's upkeep. So that's going to be difficult for Garrett to deal with. That Spite of Mogus is going to be relevant in that sense, and this Azorius Charm is going to be a great tempo play to slow that threat down. Drew reloads with a Pain Seer, but passes with 2 mana open, so he might be running out of business here. Looking at his hand, I see 2 Swamps and another card I can't make out. In fact, it might be 3 Swamps in his hand here, so Drew running out of steam very quickly. Garrett's Spite count up to 3 now, with 3 instants or sorceries in the graveyard. He can go ahead and cash that in now if he wants to on the Pain Sewer, but likely saving that for the Master in future turns here. So he's got some choices here. Not sure what the card is in his hand. He can run out the Reckoner. He can leave up Lightning Strike. That's what he's doing. So Garrett replays the Master. If he serves in, or Drew I should say, serves in with the Master. And then Garrett's unknown card was a Verdict, so doesn't even need to use the Spite at this point. Drew flooding out severely here, just plays a land and passes back. So Garrett with win con online here. Here is a Boros Reckoner. Plays a Steam Vents tapped and just passes back, and Drew draws a Hero's Downfall. Interesting, choosing not to play it during his turn while Garrett was tapped low here, so let's hope that... okay, I believe Garrett had the mana up to Boros Charm it last during Drew's turn, but interesting there, Drew allowing him to untap and possibly run into a Dissolve. So Reckoner beats continue here. Drew down to 16, or Drew down to 14 I should say, but he has drawn another Pains here. That's not going to be long for this world, as Garrett has a multitude of options to get rid of it. Garrett deciding if he wants to, thinking better of it, just drawing for turn, scrying a card to the bottom with the Temple, uses the Spite of Mogus to get another scry. Looks like he's got a Thinker here. Leaves that card on top to go with the Lightning Strike and the one unknown card in his hand. Attacks Drew down to 11. And this one is slowly slipping away here. Drew does have a Mogus's Marauder. That's good enough for a hasty attack for 2. But I'm not sure that's a race that Drew is going to win. In fact, knows the Marauder or whatever follow-up creature is likely not long for this world. There's Amizium Mortars. And Garrett's just going to the face. Oh! I didn't even see that combo. So the Spite of Mogus on the Boros Reckoner for like 1,000,000. Pretty fun. Pretty fun indeed. So Garrett draws the better half of his deck against Drew in this matchup. A lot of removal spells. Drew flooding out severely, helping the cause, but he draws even. And we move to game 3 here. So basically Garrett reenacting the old blue, white, red flash decks from Pro Tour or whatever that was. Basically the Boros Reckoner Harvest Pyre combination. Trying to blow up his own dude for great value. And it worked well in that game. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Shattered Faith commenting that Imaginary Wizard Fights are pretty cool, but Giant Water Slide also pretty cool. We did construct, like we do every 4th of July, a giant slip and slide in my backyard, which I got a fair amount of use out of. Might be able to post a picture of that later, I don't know. We'll see. I did post a picture of it on my Facebook as Kyle George's. These are the advantages of being friends with me on Facebook. You can also follow us on our official stream Facebook page, facebook.com/ZachSellsMagic. Be one of the over 1,000 people to like our page. It was Pro Tour Dragon's Maze. You guys are correct. So again, 4 rounds of Standard tonight, followed by a cut to top 8s, and then at midnight we're going to fire off our M15 pre-release, and I'll be running that event for the store. Garrett will be sitting in on commentary, so we'll watch a couple players build their seal pool, and then battle 3 rounds of sealed after that. I don't know if you have the opportunity to midnight pre-release tonight, or in some cases, if you're over in Europe, if you've already pre-released, but the set looks pretty cool. I think it's a pretty awesome core set. So it should be a lot of fun. So I'd highly encourage you to go out and support your local game store tomorrow or Sunday for additional pre-release events. Of course, here at the store, we are running regular pre-releases tomorrow and Sunday, both at noon. So if you're a local player, make sure to come by and check it out. Also, for those of you who have been following me on various forms of social media, Twitter and Facebook specifically, will know that I have been The great fetch land sale continues. I have been moving a fair number of fetch lands to a variety of people. I have sent fetch lands all over the globe. I am down to a singleton verdant catacombs, a few arid mesas, and several marsh flats. So if you're in the market for those at very cheap prices, make sure to contact me. Meanwhile, Drew Scherr is starting off with a Thoughtseize, revealing a hand of Shock, Temple, Charm, an Is It Charm that goes to the bin, and 3 more lands. So not a lot of business from Garrett here. But his hand is relatively good against Drew's deck. He's got a Scry from the land he just played. He's got another Scry in reserve, and then 2 removal/tempo cards. A turn 2 Duress out of the sideboard nets a top deck Steam Augury. Garrett is going to play a Hallowed Fountain tap, which will allow him to cast his Azorius Charm next turn, should he want to here. And here is Amogus' Marauders. It's going to meet a Shock. But Garrett running out of business here. Not sure what the unknown card in his hand is. It's likely not a Boros Reckoner, as we are choosing to play the Temple of Triumph, but good for Garrett. Leaving the card on top, looking at Drew's hand. It's, again, a heavy mana draw. Looks like another land, a Bioblight, and then a couple copies of Hero's Downfall. Awkward for Drew. He has to leave the Bioblights and Hero's Downfall in for the Boros Reckoners, as he can't beat them otherwise, but does appear to be some of the only creature threats in Garrett's deck. So there is a Steam Augury. Garrett casting it, I believe, at sorcery speed, so he can find a land here. So let's see if Drew takes that into consideration. Excuse me. So it looks like the pile of land, Azorius Charm, Temple, Azorius Charm, and Island, Mortars, and Spite of Mogus go into the bin. Drew top decks a Rakdos Cackler, not nearly as good now as it would be on turn 1, but beggars can't be choosers, as Drew's entire hand is reactive at this point. Garrett just passes the turn back, which means all the cards in his hand are spells. Azorius Charm is going to answer the Rakdos Cackler temporarily. Drew just passes back, continuing to draw lands off the top of his deck. So Garrett drawing a Sphinx's Revelation. Going to go ahead and fire that off for 3. Not the most back-breaking Sphinx's Revelation ever cast, but still at this point, Garrett pulling away from Drew here, up to 23 life, and going to be very content on turn 8 or 9 of the game to be at over his starting life total. There's the Rakdos Cackler we knew about. Drew again with just removal spell after removal spell in his hand. Garrett with the Boros Reckoner in hand, but unwilling to play it out into what he knows is going to be a removal spell from Drew, so likely trying to set up a turn which he can play it and protect it with Dissipate and or Dissolve and or Dispel. There's a Lifebane Zombie. That's going to get a Reckoner, revealing a hand of Reckoner, Revelation, Helix, a Spite of Mogus, and Garrett's just going to start burning him out here. So World Leader's Helix is an 8-point life swing. Garrett up to 27, Drew down to 14. There's Spite of Mogus on a Lifebane Zombie, which will give Garrett an opportunity to scry. He'll shove a card to the bottom. Can he chain enough burn together to get out of this one? I know he does have Spellheart Chimera in the sideboard. Here we're going to fire off the Sphinx's Rev we knew about, put him up to 30. More importantly, draw him 3 more cards here. Likely not sideboarding into that alternate win con, given the fact that Drew has a million removal spells. But against some decks, an evasive threat that's just as good as the Spite. So Garrett checking his grip here. He can play his combo all in one turn at some point. He can play Reckoner, spite it with Counterspell backup for removal in response, but at this point it's going to be very tough to get through Drew, who has enough mana to go Downfall, Bile Blight. So here's a hard cast Gnarled Scarhide. It's going to meet an Izzet Charm Shock Mode. Another Scry from Garrett here. Changes his mind there, leaving that one on top and just passes the turn back here. So Garrett in full control here. Drew has absolutely nothing going on, but Garrett does need to find a way to win the game. Just going to Azorius Charm. Wheel the Lightning Strike he left on top with the Scry. We're about 3 burn spells away from this one being good enough. So there is a Lifebane Zombie from Drew. And end of turn, Garrett is going to cast a Steam Augury, Temple, Lightning Strike, Azorius Charm, Temple, and Verdict. So Garrett's going to want that Lightning Strike. So prioritizing those Scry lands, apparently. So Azorius Charm cycles. And here is the Lifebane Zombie trigger. Garrett forced to get rid of another Boros Reckoner here. I guess Garrett trying to find a counterspell to solve that problem. So Verdict can clear out the zombie. That dice, the die on the table representing nothing, just a leftover counter from a Rakdos Cackler Unleash. So start off the turn with the Scry. Put a card on the bottom. Mizium Mortar's just as good as a Verdict here. Taking out Drew's only threat, another John Avon Zendikar Full Art Swamp off the top. And 4 removal spells in hand. A third copy of Steam Augury here, revealing 2 Lightning Strikes. Maybe not 2 Lightning Strikes. A Temple, an Island, a Lightning Strike, a Shock, and a Boros Reckoner. And I think Garrett's trying to hook him here. I think he was trying to hook him and convince him to give him the... Well, no, he wasn't trying to hook him because he's obviously going to give him the Boros Reckoner. I don't know. I don't know why he would want the Reckoner at that spot. Jonathan Wright. Hey, buddy.
It's okay, Kevin.
Sure. I do not have a box for them.
That's fine.
You can check them out, but they're all pretty clean. So Jonathan, have you been watching Garrett's deck out there? So Garrett, what? Yes. Okay. Garrett is playing a deck that basically harkens back to the Harvest Pyre Reckoner comment.
Yeah.
The problem is that he's playing against a deck that, at this point of the game, Garrett just pulled the trigger and tried to combo off with a Boros Charm backup. Drew has... make sure that door's shut, because he has 4 removal spells in his hand, so that's not going to work. And I don't know how he wins otherwise. I think he just has to start burning him out. But
does he not have like Stormwrath Ridings there?
I don't know. I didn't look through his whole deck, but
I figure he would.
I don't know. He's got some stuff in the sideboard, but I think he's kind of all in on that. I'm sure he built this deck today, so it's not like he's play tested it to great avail. What are you playing?
I want to play Black and Green.
How'd that go?
It's good. Primeval Bounty is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm long on that card financially.
How much is it?
Look good? Sure. And then I'll have to get back to you on the snow-covered lands, because I have to see how many I have. I don't have a ton of them, not as many as those, but yeah. You're probably like in the 50-cent range on those, something like that. You're good. Excellent. Good to see you again, man.
You too.
Take care. Hope to see you around soon.
Yeah, it's possible. Standard's looking to be a little more interesting. I just sort of got out of it during the Heroes.
It'll get better with the new set, so it's always a good time to get back in. Alright, man, take care. Alright, apologies for that aside, as I had to conduct a small amount of business here. So Drew has found non-creature cards in his deck. Garrett has found all of the lands. I'm sorry, I didn't chance to look at that. Garrett's going to lose a game in which he was in like incredible control. Just because like I don't think he has a win condition that isn't that Boros Reckoner or just burning. Although there was a point at which I think Garrett probably should have changed his game plan and not burn like a life main zombie. I think he should just go upstairs with that, but who knows. So it looks like Garrett has one turn here to try and find a Supreme Verdict or a... There's a Boros Charm. So Drew's down to 4 here. Didn't Garrett leave that card on top with the Scry? Sending back here. Is this a Rev? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He can get him down to 1. He can get him down to 1.
So Garrett can.
Yeah.